Get ready for a gothic retelling of a film about the knockoff first ever vampire. Back when German filmmakers said, "We have Dracula at home." Now horror genius Robert Eggers gives it a red-hot go as Lily Rose Depp humps her way through Possession, as she's cursed to encounter the Count in Nosferatu. Hello there, you loose units, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Reviews. I'm, of course, your host, Andrew Iles. That's right, Nosferatu, directed by the one and only Robert Eggers, who's known for directing The Witch, The Lighthouse, and The Northman. We meet newly married couple Thomas and oddball Ellen. Thomas is a real estate agent working for one of the biggest firms in Germany in 1839. He is absolutely smitten with unhinged goth chick, so decided to put a ring on his manic dream skitsy girl. Thomas is then tasked to go what feels like to the other side of the world to close a sale of an old mansion for an uber-rich person going by the name of Count Orlok. It's a 6-week journey, so Thomas asks his good pal Frederick and his family to babysit his unhinged wife while he's gone, which can only go well. Upon his arrival at Lifestyles of the Rich and Heinous, Thomas is completely creeped out by the Count and starts having visions, not knowing what's real and what's a nightmare. Simultaneously, Ellen is having some separation anxiety and starts seeing and feeling dark, macabre visions of her own. It seems she's having a semi-consensual affair with a rotting Romanian royal, who looks like a Kardashian in its natural form. Her midnight possessions are keeping Frederick and his young family up at night and creeping the shit out of them. Frederick is at his wit's end, so reaches out and installs the help of Dr. Wilhelm Sievers, because Frederick is having none of it! The doctor is then stumped by Ellen's condition, and things don't improve after he administers copious amounts of drugs to her and ties her up to the bed. He doesn't understand why these tactics aren't working, so he enlists the help of his old professor, Professor Alban Eberhard von Franz. Being a professor of the cult and anything that would give Zach Bagans a boner, he works out that Ellen is possessed with a demon. But wouldn't you know it, Ellen informs everyone that death is coming to Germany in the form of Count Orlok. You see, Count Orlok has stolen Thomas's pendant of Ellen, and upon seeing her photo, gets a massive stiffy for her. So Orlok jumps on a ship and heads all the way to Germany to meet her. Some guys will do anything for a booty call. Then it's up to Professor Franz to come up with a plan of attack, before this blood-sucking monster takes over Germany. When I heard that Robert Eggers was going to direct a remake of the classic tale of Nosferatu, I was all in. The film goes back to unsettling, dark, macabre, old-school horror, with some modern gore here and there, and a few good little jump scares. It's no secret the tale of Nosferatu is 99.9% Bram Stoker's Dracula, and this film wholeheartedly embraces the comparison. The original Nosferatu film from 1922 was tweaked ever so slightly to not get sued by the Bram Stoker's estate. And if you've seen the Francis Ford Coppola film from 1992 of Dracula, this film comes across as a modern remake. Except this time, instead of a terribly casted Keanu Reeves, you have an over-the-top gentleman caricature played by Aaron Taylor-Johnson. Yeah, I know he's playing the mannerisms and the speak of the time, but there were some super orcs and cringy dialogue delivered, not gonna lie. However, I will say that all the other actors in the film are absolutely amazing, especially Lily Rose Depp. Lily Rose goes all in with her performance. She literally bears all, and her possession acting is on another level. She goes from one extreme to the next in a split second. It's a very brave performance and should get the right amount of attention around awards season. Nicholas Hoult is always amazing and never dulls in a performance, and this film is no exception. You believe him every time he's absolutely terrified. But his character is no pushover either. As in with real-world heroism, even the brave are incredibly scared at times, but they nut up at the opportune moment because it's the right thing to do. Also, I forgot until my friend reminded me, Nicholas Hoult played the Dracula character of Renfield 2 years ago. And as for Willem Dafoe, what can you say about the man? He is phenomenal, and he heightens every project that he's in. Whenever he's not on screen, you're craving to have him back. He was born to be in films like this. I mean, he played a pseudo Dr. Frankenstein character in Poor Things, and even played a version of Count Orlok himself in the film Shadow of the Vampire back in 2000. Robert Eggers is incredible at setting atmosphere. The film is the right amount of dark and keeping most things in the shadow for the right amount of time. It's not only cinematic but also completely nightmarish. I will say though, if you're going in completely cold and not knowing anything about the original Dracula story or the Orlok tale, you may be Googling some things after watching this film, as this movie kind of expects you to know the source material. I mean, we probably do know the story of Dracula. There's been countless retellings of it, and it's been around for ages. And this movie is the right amount of unsettling and artsy. The beginning is slightly a little bit slow, but that's okay because it is building the atmosphere of the film. But I will say that once it gets going, it hits those beats pretty quickly. And if you know the story well enough, you'll know the beats. Now, I haven't mentioned the creature as of yet, which is supposedly played by Bill Skarsgård. And I say supposedly because nothing in this film tells or shows me that it's old Billy Boy under the prosthetics. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm leaning towards the former. Because we've seen films with Bill Skarsgård in them under prosthetics and you know it's him. Like, look at his Pennywise, you can still see remnants of Bill underneath. But I'm not going into this film to see Bill Skarsgård, I'm here to see Count Orlok. So I suppose that he's completely unrecognisable is a massive compliment. But at the same time, an argument could be made that, well, if you can't recognise him, then why even have Bill in the film? Why wouldn't you cast just anyone else, like a really good physical actor? Because I'm pretty sure Bill Skarsgård comes with a price tag. But yeah, all in all, he did a really good performance, like very, very good. But again, you can't tell it's Bill, which is kind of a good thing. But yet again, the same argument, then why get Bill? I will say though that I was almost certain that it wasn't Bill's voice used for the creature. I mean, I know in interviews he said he had to change his voice and he really did it, and they probably tweaked it a bit with modulation and all that sort of jazz. But then again, the argument can be made, why cast Bill? Again, not a bad thing, just conflicting. Orlok is kept in the shadows for the majority of the film, which is a good thing. And it was a different interpretation of the look when you did see him. Which I think it was to make it more believable to the other characters in the film that they were talking to an extremely elderly Romanian count. And keeping him in the shadows hid most of his features. All in all, this film is made extremely well, and goes back to that old school horror. And it was so comforting to see that my theatre was almost completely sold out. It was packed. It's good to see that the public are still interested in unique visionary directors making an interpretation of a horror classic. People still want good old classic storytelling. But yeah, guys, I really appreciated this film. It is visually a masterpiece, but we all knew that going in. Anyway, guys, that's my cheeky little review of Nosferatu. Write down below if you've seen it. What are your thoughts on it? But more importantly, what is your favourite interpretation of the Dracula story or the Nosferatu tale? And of course, if you've made it this far into the episode, please give me a thumbs up because your love and support keeps me going because I just love movies and I assume you do as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon because I give it an episode weekly. And I'll see you back here next week for the next review. But until then, stay spooky, kids.